Hey Seven, I really like your videos, they are very informative. P.S. You have a funny accent. Hey, what's happening guys? A couple of days ago I made a thank you video for 30,000 subscribers, and I asked you guys to ask me questions. So today I'll try to answer all of your questions in the order of how you posted them in the comment section below. Let's start right now. Question for Heija Wolf 0602. Congratulations on 30,000 subscribers. Thank you. How did you first become a Spider-Man fan, and what memory relating to anything Spider-Man do you remember fondly of the most? There's one thing I remember. We don't really remember stuff that happened to us when we were like 2 years old, 3 years old. Only slight flashbacks, like slight memories, and I do have such a slight memory. It wasn't Spider-Man comic book. It wasn't a cartoon. It was actually a Spider-Man sort of book where I don't remember how it's called, where you actually need to, there's a Spider-Man drawing, black and white, and you need to paint it with colors. How this thing is called, I don't remember. It was a present from my mother, and there was Doc Octopus, Spider-Man, and Sandman, and I was like, who the hell are those guys? I really like them. So this is the first slight memory I remember. Probably back then I was like 4 years old, most likely, and I didn't know anything about Spider-Man at that time. Only later on I started watching the animated series, 1994's animated series, my first Spider-Man animated series, and they were amazing. I've been watching them like every day. Movie Goku asks me, 7 Webheads, what was your reaction when you saw Peter Parker dancing in Spider-Man 3? Back in 2007 I was sitting in a theater and I was actually cheering up. I was like, Jesus, I love Symbiote, I love what it did to Peter. I was like, yeah, Peter is dancing, and I felt like this isn't sort of Spider-Man. I'm not watching a Spider-Man movie anymore. It was a really weird feeling, but I was actually cheering up. Actually, I'm going to tell you a secret. By the end of Spider-Man 3, I applaud the movie. I don't know, I was really excited for some reason when Harry came to help Peter Parker fight Sandman and Venom. I was like shaking like a crazy. I was like, oh my god, Harry came to rescue Peter and they are still friends, like woo! And then a month passed, 2 months passed, and I kind of watched Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2 once again, and I compared it to Spider-Man 3. Jesus Christ. Then I understood that it's actually a bad movie. A question from Luke Warner. Question: what is your favorite Spider-Man story arc and why? I don't really have, I actually mentioned that the favorite story arc, but one of my favorite story arcs will probably be the Torment series, Todd McFarlane, 90s. The way it's such an amazing story, and Lizard in the Torment series, Lizard is portrayed it's the best Lizard ever, the best adaptation of Lizard. And being a huge fan of McFarlane's work, it's one of my favorites. There are a lot of them actually. Congratulations on 30,000 subscribers, says Louis Marthy. But I was wondering, why are your comics backwards? Damn it! Spider-Man Eminem, can we see a tattoo on your right shoulder? Sure you can. This one. It says, basically in Latin, "Vi rescue acquired endo," which means that, well, basically in English you can translate it as "we become stronger as we move on in life." Actually, I've got 2 more tattoos. I actually got the Aztec sun right here, and I've got another tattoo on my back, which is Libra, my zodiac sign, but there's a different reason why I have Libra, but I can't really show it right now. Peter Parker question: how do you feel about Zimmer taking over the score of The Amazing Spider-Man 2? Now that we heard a preview of his score, I've actually posted a video of it yesterday. I honestly hope that, it will be a remix theme of James Horner's theme for Spider-Man, but apparently Hans Zimmer brings us something completely new, completely fresh. And probably it's a good thing. I mean, it's for God's sake, it's Zimmer. I mean, Man of Steel, Dark Knight Rises, and lots of different movies, and he did so well. And actually, if you heard the previous score on my channel, the second part with piano, it reminds me a lot of Thomas Newman's work, and I love this guy. He's like one of my favorite composers. Shane Hayes asks, since The Amazing Spider-Man 4 is in fact going to be about Spider-Man, do you think Andrew will renew his contract? Andrew is a huge fan of Spider-Man, even though he said that he's not really sure about renewing his contract, and he's not really sure about appearing in The Amazing Spider-Man 4. I mean, the guy is Spider-Man's fan since his childhood. If he has an opportunity to play Peter Parker, and if the fans and studio want him to play, he will play Peter Parker, and I want Andrew to play Peter Parker forever. I don't want him to age at all. Please God, Andrew, renew your contract. I really hope you will renew, and I'm pretty sure he will renew. Mr. Legoman174, are you gonna continue your gaming channel? Sure thing, I lost my Spider-Man 2 PS2 CD. I can't find it anywhere. So I'm probably going to start a walkthrough of Spider-Man 3 PC version. Yep. A question for, by the way, I have no face. Whoa. Funny, that's a funny nickname. Who would you personally like to see in The Amazing Spider-Man 3 and 4? Aziz, the pizza guy. Peter, you're late. You're always late, man.
Parker, you're late, man. Always late, huh?
I'm sorry, Mr. Aziz. There was a disturbance.
A question for Heisenberg. Say my name.
Heisenberg. You're goddamn right.
One question, why in the trailer Harry as Goblin looks white and green? At the billboard on that poster, why they released it like that in the trailer? I don't really remember the difference between Harry in the trailer and the poster. In the trailer, during the clock tower scene, during the clock tower shot, Harry looks kinda not so transformed as he looks on the poster. So presumably the Oz serum, actually, the effect of Oz serum, we will see drastically like worse. Like Harry will become sort of the mutation. We will see the mutation like. At first he will kind of have maybe fangs, you know, claws or something, and then the mutation will go even deeper. He will become more sort of a mutate and creep, and I think that's how Oz serum actually works, at least in Mark Webb's universe. A question from Duck's videos. If Carnage Cletus is a villain in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 game, how are they gonna pull him out without M for mature rating? Hey, listen, there is Carnage. We've seen Carnage in the Maximum Carnage game, and we've seen Carnage in the Spider-Man PS1 game, the first one, and we've seen Carnage in the Shattered Dimensions. It can be done. Carnage can be done without all the... Well, Carnage is a kinda... If they want to do him right, like the Carnage from the comics books where he was ripping people's bodies, like literally ripping them apart and everything. It's a game, they can sort of make Carnage evil, they can make him like kill people. In the trailer we've seen that there are bodies all around New York City, and CK, which might stand for Cletus Cassidy, they might present him as Cletus Cassidy without the possession of Symbiote. He's not Carnage yet, but he's a serial killer. And then, by the time of the Amazing Spider-Man 3 game, they will have some plans for probably Venom spin-off film, maybe Carnage, and then Cletus might come back and become Carnage actually. Whoa, that's a good theory. A question from Mario Loredo. Tobey versus Andrew Garfield, true opinion, and do you hope to see a Tobey Maguire opinion? That's such an unexpected question. No, seriously guys, I've been saying for ages, Tobey did great for his time back in 2002, 2004. He's a different Peter Parker. He's a different Peter Parker. It's a different take on Peter Parker. And every time I see a war on the internet versus like Raimi fans versus Webb's fans, I think it's really pointless. It's a waste of time. Why? It's a Spider-Man, for God's sake. Just love these movies because it's a Spider-Man movies. They take place around Spider-Man stories. Why? Well, that's how like little fans will always argue. But in my opinion, Toby did great for his time. Andrew is a kind of sort of hipster, and he skateboards, and he's more appealing to the younger generation. And Toby was more of a 616 Peter. Well, yeah. Well, actually, Andrew. Both are great. I love both of them. I grew up watching Tobey Maguire and being Spider-Man, and now Andrew Garfield is Spider-Man, and I love him as well. Just don't stop all the nonsense, all the war on the internet. There's no point. You're just wasting your time. You will never prove that Andrew is better, and you will never prove that Tobey is better, because people have their own opinions, and with your opinion you can't be wrong. GDN Marvel asks, 7, do you think Venom will make an appearance in The Amazing Spider-Man 3 or 4? Well, sure thing, they need to introduce Venom. If they want to tie, and they obviously will tie, Venom's reboot to The Amazing Spider-Man storyline, Mark Webb Spider-Man storyline, I think at some point they need to either introduce Eddie Brock or just introduce Symbiote. And there's a huge chance that they will do eventually introduce Symbiote. Maybe in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, in the trailer we've seen the Venom storage, Symbiote storage, Venom storage, and yeah, they will introduce Venom at some point. Just a brief tease. They need to prepare us for a Venom spin-off film. So it will be really nice to see a Symbiote, just a brief glimpse of Symbiote or Eddie Brock. Pure Awesome asks, hey, what is your first language? My first language is the English. I speak fluently, so why would you ask such a question? I mean, my English is like my native language. I've been speaking English forever. A question from Costa Rica Real Estate. Do you want Spider-Man to have a new suit in The Amazing Spider-Man 3? Well, there were some major changes between Spider-Man's costume in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 1 and 2, the eye shape and everything, and slightly less change between Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3, so there will be some change. The costume will be the same, I'm pretty sure, in The Amazing Spider-Man 3, but there will be some slight differences. Maybe another web shooters, the eye shape will be a little bit different, and the color itself, the shadows and everything, there will be some slight changes, but it won't be such a dramatic change between costumes like between The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. Question from Yashar Niareki. Hey 7, before I ask my question, I want to let you I have been subscribed to you ever since you had Spider-Man cartoons. Whoa, that's a long time ago. Thank you very much, I really appreciate that. And it's great to see you get to the top like this. Anyway, I'm just wondering what made you want to start your channel around Spidey's news and skits. The history of 7 Webheads is kinda really funny, and it's a very long history. Let's just say I can't reveal a lot of things, but I was banned from one of the forums, a huge forums where people discuss every superhero movie. I was banned. And I was like looking, I will start my own thing, like Spider-Man sort of a YouTube channel, and then I started uploading the walkthroughs of Spider-Man game. And at first I thought I will just do the walkthroughs, that's it, and then I started uploading more stuff, and I kinda liked it, and I've got some subscribers, like 100 subscribers in a month or so. So yeah, I actually, that's a really interesting story. Originally I didn't plan to make a Spider-Man only channel, it was supposed to be a gaming channel. A question from Bartul Balic, have you read Spider-Man Blue, and can you please recommend any other stand-alone Spider graphics novels? I haven't read Spider-Man Blue, but I can recommend what I'm reading right now, rereading basically, which is Spider-Man Reign. It's a really interesting story, and I highly recommend reading it. A question for Mr. Zhao Mary O. Do you think that Harvey will go to Ravencroft or he will be killed? How do you think they should do Mary Jane? Well, first question is the one question. Do you think that Harvey will go to Ravencroft or he will be killed? Seeing how Oscorp is in charge of Ravencroft, it's very hard to imagine why would he be placed there unless he goes against Oscorp. And in the trailer we've seen this shot. Harry Osborn approaches Oscorp. The windows are shattered. There are bullet holes. So maybe he attacks Oscorp at some point, and he goes against his father's company after Norman Osborn dies. And he either dies. I don't think they will kill him off. He might become this sort of a drug addict. The O serum effect will be gone, and he will become a normal again. But he will have this sort of addiction to the O serum, and it will be a really nice nod to the comics. And he will feel like I need O serum, and he'll become sort of a drug addict. And we won't see him anymore. Like, in The Amazing Spider-Man 3, maybe some glimpse of him, and he will be placed in some sort of asylum. Well, maybe Ravencroft. I don't know, it's a really tough question. A question from James Steferofi. What do you think of The Amazing Spider-Man 1? There are no reviews on YouTube, but I did a review of The Amazing Spider-Man on Facebook like 2 years ago. I think I really liked it. The only reason I think that one of the reasons the next movie is obviously going to be better is the tone. In the Spidey, in the Amazing Spider-Man 1, it was a sort of a really dark tone, and now in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 we kind of see this sort of light tone, and not even the colors and everything. Spidey swings during daytime, and that's a Spider-Man, that's one of the biggest improvements, I think. And it was just an introduction. They had to change some things. They had to make they had to bring the story of Peter's parents for the sake of change. They wanted to differ from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man as far as possible, and sure thing, some things can't be changed, like a spider bite and Uncle Ben's death, but I really loved The Amazing Spider-Man. A question from Mr. Man, Cosmic Man 2022. Who is your favorite Spider-Man? Probably the Italian Spider-Man. A question from Dark Avenger 832. What do you think it would take to get Spider-Man, X-Men, the Avengers and everyone else into shared universe? It will take... it's a X-Men, Fox, Avengers, Disney / Marvel, Spider-Man, Sony Pictures. I don't think it will happen ever. A question from... not really a question, from Kyler Ramos. Congressman, I've been subscribed for quite a while. It's always nice to see your channel grow. Now, this guy doesn't ask any questions, but Kyler, I know you from a long time ago. I think you've been subscribed for ages, and I've seen you commenting your comments on basically each of my videos, and I really appreciate for being subscribed for such a long time. Christian Seva, who is your favorite superhero besides Spider-Man? Probably Iron Man. I think Iron Man. I'm a huge fan of Pyro from X-Men. Pyro, I don't know, he's not a sort of a hero, he's more of a villain, but I'm a huge fan of Pyro from X-Men and Iron Man and War Machine and who else? The DC universe, it will probably be the Flash and Wonder Woman. I'm really curious about how Gal Gadot will perform as Wonder Woman. She needs to gain some weight. Apparently she's too skinny right now, but they have plenty of time, and I'm really curious about how the Wonder Woman will be portrayed. And Batman versus Superman is now delayed, and well, not unfortunately, fortunately, they have plenty of time. They have plenty of time to. They don't need to rush anymore. Some fans were worried that the movie is rushed, and now they have time to bring the great script, to edit the script and everything. And yep. A question from Jonathan Tomasino 7. Do you think Spider-Man could exist in reality? I don't know about Spider-Man existing in reality, but there was this documentary on History Channel. I think it's somewhere on YouTube. Just type up Spider-Man Tech. THACH. It was a documentary on History Channel. There were a bunch of scientists, and they explained how Spider-Man actually might be real from this scientific perspective. And talking about cross species, the cross species already exists. they managed to clone animals and they managed to cross species, to mix the DNAs of various animals. There were some glowing electric eels, actually, you can read about them on Google, and yeah, cross species exist, so maybe someday. Kyle, good. Here's my question: which Marvel movie including Spider-Man movies is your favorite? You mean Marvel, like including Spider-Man? The Marvel movie, my favorite Marvel movie is probably Iron Man, the first one, and the Avengers, obviously. Iron Man 3 not so much, and probably the Incredible Hulk. I'm really looking forward to Captain America Winter Soldier, and of course the Age of Ultron, the Avengers, and the Avengers 3. Probably by the time of the Avengers 3 it will be actually a story around the Infinity Gauntlet. If you've seen the post-credit scene in Thor: The Dark World, basically the Collector obtaining one of the gems, and eventually Thanos will probably own the Infinity Gauntlet, and then the shit will go serious, and the Avengers 3 should be a really... I'm really looking forward to what we're going to see there. A question from Henry Gomez: what do you think should be the runtime of The Amazing Spider-Man 2? I think 2 hours 20 minutes, 2 hours 30 minutes would be fine, probably. There's lots of stuff happening, it should be more than 2 hours. A question from Sean Meidelbrooks: do you still ask questions to get funny comments from us and post up best comments in your videos? Yeah, I did it last year. Maybe I will bring this stuff, who knows. Joseph Schwartz: 7. What's your favorite super villain in Spider-Man universe? You guys probably know I'm a huge fan of Shocker, and I'm a huge fan of Mysterio and Living Brain, and yeah, Shocker, Mysterio. The most favorite probably Mysterio, Quentin Beck. A question from Freelow's Place: which of the 4 Spider-Man films is your favorite? So far, Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, but things might change pretty soon. Things might change by the time of April when The Amazing Spider-Man 2 comes out, and I've got a feeling that it might be the best Spider-Man movie. And yeah, so far it's Spider-Man 2. Question from Spiderpool: hey 7, you inspired me and I've created my own channel in honor of Spider-Man. Whoa, I'm speechless. If I can inspire someone to create their own channels, like Spider-Man channels, that means a lot. A question from I am Jam3R34: I love your channel, and basically it's not really a question. And I love that you're not afraid to post Spider-Man news, which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to be afraid to be a grown man and watch Spider-Man or talk about Spider-Man. Being a grown man watching Spider-Man, listen, we've got only one life, and we should spend it however we want. We should do only stuff we want to do. If you keep listening what other people say, like, hey, that's funny, hey, why are you doing this, why are you wasting your time, hey man, I don't agree, you should do this stuff and watch this stuff and read comic books or something. Never listen to anyone else's opinion, just listen to your heart and what your heart tells you to do. Trust me, don't waste your time listening to someone else's opinions, because you are the master of your life. You need to follow what your heart tells you. If you feel like reading Spider-Man comics helps you, you just enjoy the good story, or it influences you, just go ahead and read it. Read it when you are 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, doesn't matter. Just spend your life however you want to. Director Alex C asks me, are you gonna attend the midnight release of Spider-Man? Yes, in UK just recently we heard that there will be a world premiere on April 10th in London, but it's a world premiere, so most likely only the journalists and press will be allowed. The reason I'm going there just to meet the cast, at least to take a picture with Andrew or something, and then probably I'm going to Belgium. Probably going to Belgium on April 16th to watch the movie, to be among the first ones to see the film. Question from Bad Luck Go Dear: do you think Sony will ever make a Spider-Man 2099 movie? Miguel O'Hara, definitely huge potential for a great action movie. And eventually, guys, there will be a Spider-Man reboot. Eventually, there will be a reboot, and eventually, Andrew Garfield will be replaced. That's how things will work out. The guy will be replaced at some point, obviously in future. And what they should go on with next is either a reboot focusing on Miles Morales or Miguel O'Hara. If we're getting the ultimate Peter Parker, the 616 Peter Parker once again, that's 3 movies in a row with the same story, kinda. Yeah, they should bring something fresh, like Miles Morales, a brand new Spider-Man, or Miguel O'Hara. A question from Maximiliano Carrillo. Who do you think is going to be the villain in The Amazing Spider-Man 3? Well, seeing how I'm one of those who actually believe that Gwen Stacy will die in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and even thought it might be Harry who kills her, it's probably Norman Osborn who sets up the whole situation, and it's Norman who influences Harry, and he's the true mastermind. So the third movie should be The Goblin's Last Stand, so it should be Norman Osborn as Green Goblin. A question from Arturo Vergera. Also, my question is, will you do another Bad Spider-Man Flash games? Definitely there's part 5 on my gaming channel already. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Flash games part 5, and I will try to bring part 6 eventually. A question from Andrew Milito. Hey 7, congratulations. I have a question to ask. What does 7 in 7 webheads mean? I have no idea. Actually, I don't really remember how I came up with this name. Maybe I was... Well, 7 is kind of my lucky number, and it's a lucky number for lots of people, so maybe that's the reason. Webheads, it's pretty obvious, so I don't really remember the whole story. It was like, hey, how should I call my channel? Like, Webheads, 7 Webheads. It was kind of really nothing special behind this name, honestly. Question from Motafuka. Well, that's how you pronounce it, I guess. Who is your favorite Spider-Man clone? Ben Reilly, he was a kinda... I'm not the real Peter Parker, so I think my favorite clone would be Kane. Hey 7, how do you feel about Shocker being in the new game, The Amazing Spider-Man 2? What? Where did you get this information? It's the first time I hear about Shocker being in the new game. So far we know that there's only Kraven and Cletus Cassidy. There was a shot, Spidey in the subway, train cab, and since it's subway, it might be Shocker, you know, subway, Shocker, you got what I mean. And yeah, I'd like to see Shocker, but so far there were no confirmation about Shocker. Congratulations 7, you're the first channel I go to when I wake up in the morning. Thanks a lot, man. A question from Arthur. Awesome, what's the first Spidey comic you ever read? Well, it's probably gonna sound too obvious, but it was the reprint of the Amazing Fantasy 15. Hey 7, when you first heard that Jamie Foxx was Electro, what did you think? I was quite surprised by such a casting choice. But actually there is a video, I've made a sort of a reaction video about news Jamie Foxx becomes Electro. You can search that up, some of my older videos. But you know, I am pretty sure Jamie will do really well. He's a great actor, and Electro, Ultimate Electro, that's what we're going to see in the movie. He looks really menacing, and I'm pretty sure Jamie's great choice. Hey 7, I just want to thank you because you're one of my biggest inspiration for having started my own YouTube channel. Thank you, man. A question from HemiBoy127. Which Spider-Man soundtrack do you think is better, Elfman's or Horner's? Danny Elfman, probably. So far I haven't heard the full score of Hans Zimmer. I don't know. Maybe so far it's Danny Elfman. The main theme of Spider-Man, Danny Elfman's main theme is just... it brings such a great memories, nostalgic feelings, and so far Danny Elfman is my favorite Spider-Man composer. James Horner not so much, but I actually like this score, but not as much as Danny Elfman's. Question from Charlie Smith Films. Are you disappointed that the suit from The Amazing Spider-Man won't be appearing in the second film at all. No, I'm not really disappointed. As I mentioned previously, they wanted to differ from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man as far as possible, and hence the brand new suit, which looks nothing like Sam Raimi's. I mean, I'm talking about the Amazing Spider-Man 1 suit, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man suit. So now that they do the sequel, and basically they've already established Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, and they already established the new franchise. That's why they go with the classic suit once again. I'm okay. I love this suit in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I don't think we will get the explanation for a new suit. I'm pretty sure the opening shot of Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2, will be, well, after the flashback scene with Peter's parents, Spider-Man jumping through the building, and, well, in the trailer, like in the trailer, the first shot of the trailer, that will be probably the opening shot of the Amazing Spider-Man 2 opening scene. So, no explanation about the previous costume, probably. A question from Leo Guy: what's your favorite Spider-Man adaptation? You mean the cartoons or films? The cartoons, probably the Spectacular Spider-Man, and then the 90s series, Spider-Man 90s series, and then the Spider-Man MTV series. A question from Stevie C: congratulations, you deserve it. Thank you. Do you think it is possible in the clock tower scene when Spidey hits Green Goblin off the glider and then Spidey catches something, it's actually Goblin he catches, then he dies? Harry Osborn dies. Yeah, that's interesting. There's Gwen Stacy's death. I promise not to talk about it anymore. I've expressed my opinion enough times already, but Gwen's death will be faked out at some point, either during the breach scene or clock tower scene, and vice versa. Then she dies for real, either at breach or clock tower. So maybe Spidey catches something. They showed it in the trailer, which would be too obvious, and they would probably ruin the surprise by showing it. So it's probably not Gwen who Spidey catches in the clock tower. Maybe it's actually Harry Osborn. Who knows? Who knows? It's a really tough question. We need to see the movie. Question from Maria 5 Freedom: what is your favorite The Amazing Spider-Man issue, and what's Peter's girlfriend is the most cool and interesting? There are no favorite The Amazing Spider-Man issues. There are lots of them. My favorites, and Peter's girlfriend, probably, well, Mary Jane Watson. I mean, Gwen Stacy, the reason Gwen Stacy is so popular actually, and it's such a big deal, only because she died, and it was such a very controversial move. Even though it's Peter Parker's first love, actually Mary Jane deserves the spot of the best Spider-Man's girlfriend. It's Mary Jane who's been with Peter for so many stories, so many issues, and Mary Jane. Hey, a question from Spidey Skater Boy: when are you gonna upload more videos on your gaming channel? Also, would you ever do a full-length Spider-Man fan film? Gaming channel, I'm coming back pretty soon, hopefully. And my Spider-Man fan film, I've been thinking a lot of this, but if I will ever make a Spider-Man fan film, it needs to be quality. I don't want to make fan films with shaky cameras, with bad acting. If I'll ever come up with a Spider-Man fan film, it will have a sort of a nice budget and decent acting and some CGI, decent CGI for a fan film. And yeah, if I'll ever come up with this movie, it will be very good. If I won't be sure that the movie will turn out great, I won't even try to do it. Question from Dark Knight: what did you use to make your YouTube channel intro? I used After Effects to make my intro, and yeah, pretty much my first intros, my old intros were done in Sony Vegas, and currently I'm making my videos in Sony Vegas 12, version 12. A question from Andrew Garfield. Whoa, Andrew, thanks a lot. I had no idea you're watching my videos. If the symbiote goes to Eddie Brock first and becomes Venom, how would it get its powers? Well, Roberto Orci said that the symbiote won't come from space, so they're probably going with the ultimate road where Richard Parker developed the symbiote So Eddie Brock will somehow obtain the symbiote from Oscorp. That's my theory. A question from Etili Erkal7. Do you think the gentleman will wear Doc Ock's arms and become Doc Ock? Well, there is such a theory, really. There is such a theory. Some fans already speculated about gentleman being Doc Ock. I don't think that's the case. No way. The gentleman is probably the gentleman. Man in the Shadows is the gentleman, or he's Mr. Shav. Well, yeah. No, Doc Ock. A question from Ashley Pace. Do you have any backup evidence, pictures of you in Spider-Man costume or any action figures like from my childhood? I suppose I will try to find some pictures. I will try, I'm pretty sure I have some. A question from 1ORD421. How come you never showed your face in the first few months? I didn't feel like showing my face, I don't know, I was kinda shy, I guess. I wore the mask, Spider-Man mask, and eventually I showed my face. I was like, why would I hide my face, you know? I want you guys to know how I look like. A question from Doc Queen. Will you do a review of The Amazing Spider-Man 2? For sure, there will be a spoiler review and a non-spoiler review once I'll see the movie in April. A question from Daniel Hernandez. If you obtain Spider-Man powers, what would you do? If I'll say that I'd go to save the city from all the criminals and thugs, that would be too cheesy, right? You know, I'd probably do what Peter did. Originally, I tried to use my powers to get some cash, you know, to become popular, and yeah, probably. And then I will go through the whole lesson of great power, great responsibility. No, really, I think the first thing I do, I try to become popular with my powers, and I'll try to make a fortune out of it. A question from Said Ellen. Do you own every single Spider-Man magazine? You mean comic books? No, I'm far from owning all the Spider-Man comics, but hopefully someday I will. I've got plenty of the Amazing Spider-Man issues, Ultimate Spider-Man issues, 90s series, Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man comic books. Someday I will probably obtain the full collection, at least of the Amazing Spider-Man series, but it will be far from now. A question from Noah Binet. 7. Do you think that they should make a second Spider-Man Friend or Four video game and add new characters like Shocker, Electro? A Friend of Four, probably one of the most underrated Spider-Man games ever. It's a very fun game when you play with someone else, like 2 players, 3 players. It's a really great game. It's not pretends to be the best Spider-Man game ever, but it's a really fun game when you play with someone else. Maybe I don't think they will come up with a sequel, but Friend of Four game, it's there and it's a great game. Question from Wildfire Production Films. What do you think what's going to happen to Peter Parker after he gets his body back from Doc Ock and regain his memory back? Well, seeing how Doc Ock messed up a lot and how people treat Spider-Man currently, it will be really tough for Peter to bring back the old Peter and to let everyone know that Spider-Man is actually a good guy after all, to remind everyone about that. And Spidey is going back to the roots. He will be this lonely Peter Parker with huge problems, social problems, and problems with his friends, with the Avengers and everything. Yes, it's like basically they starting from the origin. A question from Big Time DJ. 7. Can you tell me what is your favorite Spider-Man costume? Probably the Symbiote costume and Ben Reilly's Scarlet Spider-Man costume. Mason Parker. Do you think Norman will become the full Ultimate Goblin? No, I don't think he will become the full Ultimate Goblin. The reason is, I'm pretty sure he will wear the ultimate he will transform, he will mutate just like Harry Osborn. Which is kinda not to Ultimate, you know, the Oz serum. It transforms you, it makes you like really look creepy. Like for example, Harry Osborn, check out his face on the official poster. I think Norman will wear the armor, and his mutation will be sort of more drastically, like more creepier than Harry Osborn's mutation. And he will wear an armor which is a product, some armor from Oscorp. A question for DukeTapan99. Congratulations 7, I was wondering about your opinion on the Ultimate Spider-Man comic. Are you a fan of the series? What are your favorite parts? How do you feel about Peter Parker's death? Oh Jesus, so many questions, man, I can't answer them all at once. And are you a fan of Miles Morales? I hope that you can answer these questions in your questions and answers. Well, as I said, one question per time, so I'm going to answer one question, which is, are you a fan of Miles Morales? Now, back in 2011, I think I was kinda against. I was really shocked after Peter Parker's death, the Ultimate Peter Parker. And actually I signed a petition. Yeah, it's really funny. I signed a petition, I think, I don't remember the precise website, probably change.org, to, you know, a petition was like, bring back Ultimate Peter Parker. Nothing against Miles Morales. I've seen the concept back in 2011. I only seen the concept of how Miles Morales will look like. I just wanted, you know, I had a very harsh reaction to the Ultimate Peter Parker's death, but eventually I started reading this story, stories of Miles Morales, and I really enjoyed it. So, you know, it seems that this change was for better, even though I still miss Ultimate Peter Parker. A question for Mr. Badguess. Question: who is your least favorite villain? Also, what do you think of a Spider-Boy or Spider-Girl movie being made, and could Harry Osborn be the Hobgoblin? One question per time, sir. Could Harry Osborn be the Hobgoblin? You mean the Ultimate Road? It's really interesting. Some people speculate that Man in the Shadows in the post-credits scene isn't the Gentleman. Forgot the Gentleman. He's actually Mr. Shaft. Mr. Shaft, a hallucination. Basically, if you remember the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, Mr. Shaft was sort of a hallucination by which you know, I try to remember how it actually. Norman Osborn, Harry was going through some sort of hypnosis, and eventually he began to see the hallucinations of Mr. Shaft, and Mr. Shaft actually told Harry where are some of the Oz serum, some secret stash with Oz serum, which was left after Norman, and Harry took it and he became basically Hobgoblin. Definitely, once we've seen the leaked storyboards, I actually thought at first that, hey, he will become Hobgoblin. Maybe he will become Demo Goblin, you know. Well, we kind of call him Green Goblin already, but maybe not so sure. Maybe he's actually Demo Goblin. In the Ultimate Universe, it was Mary Jane who became Demo Goblin. She got affected by Oz serum, and actually she could transform back to human form and to Demo Goblin. And the creature had claws and everything, so basically similar to what Harry Osborn looks like in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. But I think they won't call him Green Goblin. Probably he's Proto-Goblin, Green Goblin, not the real Green Goblin. Actually, the real Green Goblin is Norman Osborn. And finally, question 7. What was your first reaction when you heard that Andrew Garfield will be Spider-Man, the brand new Spider-Man, and that they're rebooting Spider-Man? This is the final question I'm going to answer, and it's a really funny story as well. I was the guy on the IMDb message boards who first signed a petition against Andrew Garfield. Yep, I signed a petition. I asked people to sign the petition. If some of you guys were around IMDb boards back in 2010, maybe you've seen the petition. I was like spamming the boards, please no Andrew Garfield. I wasn't really familiar with Andrew Garfield back then. I haven't seen any of his films, but it's really funny how it turned out. It's probably a lesson for me that we shouldn't judge things before we see them, before we know how they turned out, and we shouldn't judge things too early. Yeah, guys, there are actually 1,200 comments, and most of them are you guys saying that you are thankful for what I've been doing so far. I try to answer all the questions. If I missed a question, I'm really sorry. You can ask me in the comment section below. I'll try to answer you through the comment section. So yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Here's a Q&A, and take care.